Good evening, everybody. Hello, welcome along to your Monday Night Rabble. My name's Martin, I'm your host, and I am joined by my co-host tonight, Stuart. Stuart, how are you?
I'm good, Martin. It's great to have the Rangers back, isn't it? So good.
Oh, it's so good, mate. It's brilliant. It
Cannot
takes away
wait.
all your problems, Stuart, doesn't it?
Absolutely, your weekend is never ruined or anything like that. It's absolutely brilliant. Really looking forward
Oh,
to a Monday night show, getting right stuck into all the talking points. Yeah, but yeah, look, all good. Hope everybody who's watching is all good as well.
I forgot what it was like to not be depressed. That's how good Rangers make you.
Hey, you were
Um,
missing them. You kept saying you were missing them.
I
And
was
I think I
missing them
was saying,
until full.
enjoy the break. Enjoy the break.
I was missing Rangers until the full-time whistle at Fir Park, to be fair. Or until that second half started. But yes, hello everybody. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And of course, if you have any questions, start your comment with a big capital Q and a wee full stop. I don't know why, but just put the wee full stop in there. We will be joined tonight live at 8 p.m. by singer-songwriter, big Rangers fan, fan of the channel, and a big fan of the Rangers Rabble, Robyn Keen. Will be joining us live tonight at 8 p.m. to discuss what's been going on with her, what the future holds, and she's going to play us out with a couple of songs as well. So looking forward to that. Stuart, we have loads to get into. Absolutely, hunters. I want to, I want to go on about the game at the weekend and delve into that a wee bit. But we have to start really. I mean, we've got a new signing which seems to have just disappeared from the media spotlight because it's all about Russell Martin's press conference. There's quite a few things to take away for that, and not just what Russell Martin said. I think a few of the journalists need to have a wee look at themselves, as I'm sure you're going to get into as well. But he wasn't holding back, Stuart, today. He was not holding back.
Um, no, it wasn't. So on Saturday evening after it, I was quite happy with him coming out and having a go. I think for far too long, particularly under Clement, it felt as if he was giving interviews and kind of taking us for mugs ever so slightly in terms of, trying to tell us something, what was happening when we were watching the exact opposite. So I think there was a bit of honesty there. I think if Russell Martin had kind of come out and tried to play down the performance, tried to play down the result, and let's be honest, I think most of us would agree that we're probably fortunate to come away with a point. Then I think he would have got torn apart. We would be sitting this evening. You would have been talking about it in the morning rabble, the afternoon rabble. That what is he watching? Because that's not what we are seeing. So, I for one, I'm quite happy that there's an honesty there. I think that's potentially something that he's had stored up. I'm not convinced that it has came out after the Motherwell result. I think it was always going to come out at some point because I thought it was quite telling that he referenced, he could see what Clement was trying to do. Clement did kind of briefly touch on, players' attitudes. Ferguson absolutely did talk about players' attitudes and their mentality, so on. I don't think Martin has spoke to Clement, but he's absolutely spoke to Barry Ferguson. So I think this has maybe been there, and it's happened, and it's came out in the first game of the season. But I think it was always going to come out at some point. I don't think that's just an impulse thing there. I think he's been aware that when the going gets tough, that some of these players kind of retreat. And I think I quite like the fact that it seems as if he's putting his foot down, as if say, well, do you know what? I'm not going to lose my job because of you. Lot, others have. It'll be interesting to see what he does tomorrow, an hour before kickoff. That will be the real telling point because he has kind of made a rod for his own back with it.
Well, has he though?
I think it might come back to bite him a wee bit if we don't see some changes there, Martin. I think he potentially loses face ever so slightly on that. So I'd be surprised that there isn't changes, even just from a freshening up point. I know you guys on the afternoon rabble chatted about kind of we looked a bit tired, we looked leggy. So I wonder again, this game is coming round pretty quick, that even from just freshening the team up, that we won't see some changes. So I think he's made that statement. I think the fans now expect to see some action on what he said.
Well, he did also, though, state in his presser, and I think he was quite clever about it when, they kept asking back and forth. They effectively asked the same question for 15
Yes.
minutes, right? Which is effectively what they all done, which you expect that now for Scottish journalists. It's all about sensationalism and what can we put in a headline at the front or the back of our paper to get people to buy it. News for you guys, nobody wants to buy your papers. And there's a reason why. And that press conference today is a part of the reason why nobody wants to buy your papers. But one thing he did say, Stuart, when he was talking about, he said, I wasn't having a go. I was being honest. I was being truthful. And if the players can't handle that, then they're not invested in this team. That's something that he said a lot of, Stuart. He's talked about players, especially when trying to sign players. If we go for them and their first answer is, I'll think about it, we don't want you. He only wants people who want to run through brick walls for the club. That's all he wants.
Yeah, and it's look, as a supporter of the club, I think one thing that we can accept, I think we, in the majority of, can accept players making mistakes as long as we see that the effort is there, etc. And I think on Saturday, watching it, and those that were at the game, I think it was pretty clear that Motherwell seemed the hungrier team. They were quicker to the ball. They were winning those second balls, etc. Their equaliser is a prime example of that. They were getting to the ricochets and the deflections before we were. We were a few yards off, and as that game went on, we were continually yards off them. So it's absolutely what we expect. Unbelievably, I'm going to say I actually agreed with something that Chris Boyd and Chris Sutton were talking about on the post-match, and that Sutton was kind of trying to say, well, he's taking a bit of a machine gun to them, and Boyd said, well, but if somebody said that to you, how would you react? And Sutton was kind of, well, I'd want to show them that he was wrong, that I can. And that's what clearly Martin's doing there. And if there are players there who are not willing to put in that effort, then they will be jettisoned. They will be gone. We've all looked at the stats that showed that Martin's teams down south ran more than any other team.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that he's not wanting to adopt that here. He wants exactly that to come to Rangers, and he's clearly not. He's not seen that. I feel for him because I think he has given them a lot of credit in terms of how hard they've worked in pre-season, how they've worked in kind of pre-season games. You can't deny their effort over the Panathinaikos games, and yet when we get to that first league game, it kind of fell off again. So obviously the frustration in there, but yeah, if you're not part of this, and I think we are seeing a system where even if one player isn't all in on it, it can fall apart a wee bit, which is a slight worry, I would have to say.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is a slight worry. Just very quickly on this for Charles. Question, will Martin bring up super chats when Robyn's on asking for a friend? It depends on what those super chats say, Charles. I will not be bringing up any dodgy super chats because I know what you're like. So if the super chats are respectful, they will be brought up. Of course they will. If they are not, then they will not be brought up. And the fact that, Charles, you even have to ask that question terrifies me. Absolutely terrifies me. Just before we go back on to Russell Martin and the players, because I do think it's not just all on the players, the Motherwell game, right? But we'll come back to that, Stuart. Let's have a wee quick chat about the press, shall we? Right now, there's a lot of Rangers fans that aren't happy, that haven't been happy since Martin came in the door, and that is their right. That's anybody's right. You support the football club. You can think, feel, do lawfully whatever you want, right? No issue with that at all. So, of course, if we drop points in the first game of the season, there was always going to be supporters coming out going, right, that's it, that's the end for him. He's done, right? That was always going to happen. The media know this. Your Daily Records, your Suns, your Heralds, whatever, they know this. And that is all they're running with now. Stuart, was there a single question in the press conference about the game tomorrow night? Was there a single question in the press conference about Antman signing? It was all 90.9. Yeah, the very last question, Stuart. Damn indictment on the media in our country.
So between Russell Martin and Lyle Cameron, you probably had about 20 minutes worth of interviews there. And I would say probably 18 minutes of it were taken up by what the manager said across both of it. Now, again, I go back to Russell Martin probably can't win, and I think he probably knows that himself, because if he came out and lavished praise on his players and the Rangers' performance on Saturday, so go back to what I said earlier, then it would have been torn apart. He's shown some honesty, and they don't really know how to react to that honesty, and are kind of struggling with the concept. And as you said, what we had was a whole period where they were just basically trying to reword the same question to him. Now, I understand why it was brought up, but if I'm in that press conference, I would maybe want to ask Russell Martin, and this maybe lead us into what we, some of his decisions. How open we are in terms of some of our play. Is that all just down to what he sees as a lack of effort, or is there something structural there that's causing teams to be able, with one pass, to be breaking onto us? Surely somebody wants to ask the question about the number of shots that we've faced. Why is nobody asking about the fact that there is a lack of creativity in the final third? What's preventing us from pinning teams in that he's talked about? We're not peppering shots, we're not making goalies work hard enough. Absolutely none of that. And then when you get to Lyle Cameron, I was telling you this before that, somebody in that press conference actually had the audacity to ask Lyle Cameron, if you're called upon tomorrow, are you ready? Mm-hmm. I don't know what they expect Lyle Cameron to say there. As I said to you, what's he going to turn around and say? No, I'm slightly nervous, actually, and I think it would be a really bad idea for the gaffer to put me in tomorrow. Of course, is that all you've got when you've got a player in front of you? How are you finding adjusting to the new style of football? What are the challenges that you're encountering, Lyle? What strengths do you think that you can bring to it? No, are you all right to come in tomorrow? There is an obligation, obviously, for clubs to do these pressers, but my God, the standard of journalism, the standard of questions that gets asked at them, any single one of us on the Rabble could do a better job than that, because I think we would very quickly realise this is just going over the same ground. Right, I've got the manager in front of me. This is an opportunity to ask a question about what he's trying to implement and maybe things that we feel aren't quite working. You could even press him on why Arens is at left back, or what are the things that you mentioned Jeffy has to improve on things. What are those things? Anything like that might just get a bit of insight, but no, it's the same boring, predictable stuff. And we've talked before, they are all desperate to ask the first question, aren't they? Because thank God I've got that out the way. The guy at the end was loving life when he was still able to ask, have you got a squad update?
Yeah. It's absolutely bonkers, mate. It's absolutely bonkers. One thing I did really like from him, though, because it's something that I don't even think Clement said this. Barry might have. But he was talking about, he started off by saying we've been together 5 or 6 weeks. It's not going to be perfect. And I was thinking to myself, here we go. Here comes an excuse, right? But what he said was we need to find a way of winning while we're building. There's no excuse for not winning, which I think a lot of fans should take on board, actually, and go, right, hold on a minute. Right, so he's not going to use us building as an excuse, Stuart. He knows that he has to win. Every manager knows that they have to win, but he's not going to bullshit us when he comes out to speak.
Yeah, because we've had bullshit from last. I mean, Clement at times was trying to tell us that his team were playing in a certain way or dominated games, when we were sitting watching it going, well, that isn't the case. I don't care about stats and possession, because actually we did nothing with that possession. So as I mentioned, I was more than happy to see the manager come out with some honesty around it, because it's what we are seeing, and he would have been torn apart if he tried to tell us something different on it. So I think good on him for that. What he needs to get is a reaction now. And you're right. I think we've been on quite a few of the last Mondays, and I've mentioned this, trying to keep momentum and that good feeling going, and how important that was in the early stages for Russell Martin and this team, because it is going to take a bit of time. We're clearly seeing that there are teething problems with what he's trying to identify to do, but if you can keep getting results and get over the line, and let's be honest, it was a draw. It wasn't a defeat. It wasn't great, but it wasn't, we lost at Kelly 2 years ago, so we're already slightly better off than we were at that point. It wasn't great, but we need to try and just keep that momentum going, so that hopefully as the weeks go, they play more games. The system with additional players coming in, we start to see that kind of working, and then like say, it just gets us through this. What I think, if we're all taking a step back, it's highly likely it's probably going to be a bit of a sticky period. It's not going to be perfect, but can we just keep getting the results? That's the main thing.
No, it's not going to be perfect, but it should have been better against Motherwell.
Yes.
Because Motherwell are implementing a new system. I thought Motherwell in the second half were excellent.
Yep.
But notwithstanding that, we still should have had enough quality to compete. We never competed in the second half, Stuart. There was
so there you go. You could ask a really difficult question of the manager and say, you're up against a side who have a new manager, who are implementing maybe not the same style of, but it's again playing out from the back. They do want to take some risks, etc. But they seem to be able to do that on Saturday, whereas your team didn't. Russell, what is it that they're struggling with? I mean, the manager's talked about, I said this last week, he was asked, are we going to see a patient style of football? And he said, well, maybe when we get to the final third, then I would maybe expect some patience, but I want to see us getting to the final third really quickly. I'm not seeing that yet. There seems to be that plan that centre half will pass it to Butland will pay it the other centre half, it might go wide, and then it might go into Rothwell. That seems to be where the plan seems to stop. The next stage of it, we got the odd glimpse of it against Motherwell, where in that opening period where a couple of the moves came off, but we're not seeing that regularly enough. And then I think it leads on to criticism of certain players. So Danilo, for example, can Danilo improve in terms of his hold up and bringing players into play? 100%. But is that all we're asking from our number 9 or our number 99 as it is with Danilo? Is that all we're after? Where is the chance creation for him?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say to you next. Yeah.
And I don't think it matters if that's Danilo or if that's Dessers, because our team is turning over the ball so often, normally in our own half, that actually we're not in the opposition penalty box enough to see players actually, can Danilo's movement be good enough to then create the chance, etc. So there's a lot of questions. I think that he's right to have called them out, but I do think as fans do have some questions on the manager in terms of his style, some of his selections, etc. And I think that's okay. I think it's perfectly legit for us to have those concerns and those questions at this time.
100%. One thing he did mention though, and I'd be interested to get your point on this, and if you want to name players, Stuart, then feel free to name players. He said it's all about creating better habits, and he's used that a few times in the past. But I think after the draw against Motherwell, and like you say, look, it's a draw, right? We're going to draw and lose games throughout the season, right? Obviously, with it being the first game of the season, you want a win. You want to start with a win. You want to show your rivals that, look, we're here, we're building, but we've managed to win the game, right? But the second half was deplorable in terms of effort. I think that's what's angered a lot of people. And he's talking about creating better habits and a better mentality. With certain players in this team, can that be done, Stuart?
No.
Apologies, that's a horrible question, isn't it?
Look, I think we've seen enough of some players now to know that they're not the long-term answer for us, and whether that means they need to be moved on right now or they need to be taken out at the moment, and the amount of game time that they play, it should be less. I think we've seen the script before, and I think, Martin, and I don't know what you think on this, but I think the reaction to the game on Saturday night, yes, there's disappointment at drawing. There'll always be a disappointment if Rangers don't win games and pick up the 3 points. But I'm not convinced it's just solely down to that Motherwell result. I think this is because of what we've seen in previous seasons. Kind of false dawns and optimism. And I think there is a lot of fans out there who are nervous. Some might be convinced that here we go again. This is going to be the same. We've heard a lot of things, but here we go, first game, and we've already dropped points. So I think the reaction is bigger than just the 90 odd minutes that we watched on Saturday. I think this is building. It's just, and I think particularly the players going over to the fans behind the goal and the reaction that they got. I think that reaction stems not just from those 90 odd minutes. I think that's a combination over the last 2 or 3 seasons, in all honesty.
Yes, 100% it is. But I think, had we played really well in that game, right? Had we come out in that second half and pressed the way that we pressed, hit the post 3 or 4 times, hit the bar, created chances, and then Motherwell break and score and it finishes 1 each. Had that happened, I don't think you would have seen the type of reaction that you've seen.
True.
I totally agree with you, Stuart, though, that as soon as that finished 1 each for that performance, everybody, including myself, had the same reaction. Here we go again. Mm-hmm. Nothing's changing. Even though we've got new players who need to settle in, and we've got new players who are going to come through the door. As soon as that final whistle went at the weekend, it was, here we go again. It's exactly what we've experienced over the last X amount of years. So
it's
I think a lot of
it's scar tissue.
Of course it is, but I don't think the performance helped. I really don't think the performance helped, because one of the biggest issues people had with Russell Martin coming in was, how are we going to implement his system in Scotland? Are we going to get run over the toppy, or are we going to gas out? Well, at the weekend we got run over the toppy and we gassed out, Stuart.
And I think you guys touched on it earlier in the afternoon rabble. We've seen 3 competitive games, and we've not really seen the style of football that we thought we were going to be seeing. That kind of really high tempo. The only time I think we've probably seen exactly what Russell Martin would like to do was when Panathinaikos went down to 10 men, and we hemmed them in, and we had our whole team basically 40 yards from their goal. We've not seen it. So yeah, you're right. Performance-wise, I think fans just want to see signs. And in the opening 15 or so minutes, and by the way, I think Rangers were just okay in the first half. I know some people have said they were generally a bit happier with what they saw, but I thought we were okay. We get an early goal, so again, when he talks about, when things are tough and things get tough, we're still winning the game at that point. This isn't like last season where we always conceded the opening goal. We actually took the lead. And then you did, on the odd occasion, see that, when the quick movement, the quick passing comes off, then, we were breaking on them and we were getting into decent positions. Or decision making in the final third, I think, absolutely needs to get better. So yeah, the fans are desperate to see some signs. And you're right. I don't think, people have been honest, we weren't expecting it to be 100% perfect. I think we're probably, I'm speaking here for myself. I think I've been slightly disappointed in the level of performance so far. I was maybe expecting a bit more than what we've seen.
Well, I think that both Panathinaikos games and the Motherwell games have all kind of followed the same pattern, to be honest with you. We've started initially well for 5 or 10 minutes, and then the other teams took control. And if it wasn't for poor finishing, all right, look, against Motherwell, we had 175% of the ball. Whatever, cool. That's groovy. That's fantastic. Motherwell could finish. They would have scored a few. All right, if we could finish, we might have scored 1 or 2 as well. But we're giving up so many chances.
Well, and here I can see the regular viewers rolling their eyes when I start hitting out with some stats. But I use this just to try and highlight the point in terms of Rangers have a negative expected goals at the moment. And so I'll try and explain what that means is that the expected goals over the 3 competitive games that we've had at the moment, you then subtract the expected goals for the opposition, and Rangers are in a negative position. I think Motherwell, their expected goals was something like 2.5 or something like that, and Rangers was the joint lowest that I think we've had in a domestic league game for a long, long time. So there is clearly an issue with our creativity, and I don't think anybody, like, nobody's saying here, and I don't particularly want to get into the pure Kieran Dowell bashing show or anything like that, but Kieran Dowell is clearly not who Russell Martin wants to be playing on the right-hand side. I think we've probably signed the person today that he wants to play out there. Is Danilo his preferred attacker? Probably not. Gassman he's came in now, so I think you're starting to see that left-hand side being there. But there's certainly from middle to front, there's something not clicking there, because as I mentioned, we're barely working opposition goalies at the moment.
Yeah, listen, it's I said I thought for 40 minutes or whatever, maybe the first half, Kieran Dowell played quite well, right? He certainly wasn't one who you would look at and go, he was dreadful. So of course people took for that I'm saying that Kieran Dowell's fantastic and he's brilliant and he should be in the team. Absolutely not. He's not good enough for the football club. But where I don't have the same sort of for Martin, right? I can't think of the right word. Playing Arens at left back and Tav at right back. I'm sorry, that's inexcusable for me from a selection point of view. Playing Kieran Dowell on the right because you don't trust Cortez, or you maybe think it's too big a game to put Finlay Curtis in, I can accept that, Stuart. And who am I? I'm just my own opinion. I can accept that. Playing Arens at left back, now 3 games, and it's not worked in 3 games, and you still think that's a better option than playing Jeffrey in there? No, I don't. I can't accept that, Stuart.
Totally. And by the way, I would 100% back you up on the Kieran Dowell point. Ian and I touched on this last week. Just because you say something about Kieran Dowell that isn't a negative doesn't then mean that you then think that he should be awarded a new bumper 5-year contract and be a regular starter for Rangers. You know, you can have a view on a particular game of football and also hold a wider view on a certain player. No, those 2 things are possible. Going back to what you could ask Russell Martin in a press conference, I would like to know what the transfer strategy is, because he has said that Arens isn't the long-term solution at left back. What are we doing then in the transfer market regarding that? Because it clearly isn't working. He's not comfortable. I think he's probably frustrated that he's not getting to show in the early games what he can do in his preferred position. Maybe the club have been absolutely trying, and maybe we've had knockbacks in terms of trying to get a left back in. There was obviously the Owen Beck rumours. I don't know whether that was true or not, but it does seem strange that if he is not the long-term strategy and for that position, well, what is the strategy then? And you know what? Are we actively looking in that market, or does Russell Martin need to tweak his style at the moment so that somebody like Jefty can come in, play that left back position, maybe not be asked to do all the things that Russell Martin wants because they clearly feel he's maybe not capable to do that, but at least he gives you that balance there. You know, I don't want to see a Rangers back four made up of 4 players who are all right-footed. It doesn't bode well. It doesn't, like say, if circumstances in a game mean that you need to do that, an injury, a set, whatever it may be, so be it. But he's deliberately starting them at the moment, and that again, you would like to think tomorrow. You know, I think we've seen enough of that now. Can we change? That isn't me having a go.
Stuart, can I interject there just for a 2nd, Stuart, and ask? And I see this all the time. I don't think it is the case, right? I just think he really doesn't fancy Jefty, which frustrates me because I quite like him and I think he's got a future, right? But I'll ask the question anyway because so many people are saying it. Is it a case that he's playing Arens on the left because he doesn't fancy Jefty, or is it a case that he's playing Arens on the left because he just won't drop Tav?
I don't believe he's playing Tav just because he feels or Arens is playing that position because he has to play Tav. No, I think it's because he doesn't believe Jefty can do the things that he's asking them to do in this system. But I think there has to be an acceptance in his part that maybe his ideal way of playing isn't quite there at the moment because we don't have the players that fit that model. So he needs to tweak that himself. You know, you can still work on things with Jefty, but no, I don't think he's just accommodating Tav. I don't believe that for a second. I think you're right. I think it's I think it's because he clearly didn't rate Ridvan. And although I think he can see, and he's spoken about that he can see potential in Jefty, he clearly feels that even though he's playing out of position, Arens is a better option. I don't think that's the case.
I don't agree.
No, I think the majority of fans are now on that. I hope the manager reacts to that. I think it's quite an easy win for him. Tomorrow, fans are asking for this. He can do it. Now, that's not to say that then works and everything suddenly clicks into place. But I think it's an easy win for the manager to say, I did kind of say I'm potentially going to make changes on Tuesday. That's quite an easy one. Now, you're dropping your captain. But I think everybody expected that Tav shouldn't be playing every game now. So, you know, and if you're bringing in a player that Max Arens, he was coming to play. So again, I think that it looks as if they've already made that decision. So let's get on with it. But I do think, what's the plan for left back then?
Yeah. Well, obviously, look, we've got Robyn Keen coming up in about 10 minutes' time. There's still quite a lot to talk about, Stuart. But just quickly on the game tomorrow night, because we'll have the afternoon rabble tomorrow as well to discuss it. Will we see that change tomorrow night, Stuart? Will we see Jefty left back, Arens right back, or Arens, or however he wants his name to be pronounced, or will it be Arens at left back and Tav at right back?
I'm hoping we see a change there. I think even just for again freshness, but I think just providing a bit more balance in that back line. Everything at the moment is coming. It's all in field, and that's maybe part of the system. But I think teams are wising up to that, and I think they're kind of dealing with it. I think Panathinaikos at the game at Ibrox, I think their shape was excellent, particularly in that first half, where they really restricted us in terms of what we're doing. So I think Jefty could just offer you something slightly different. I think the other big talking point is whether or not our new signing just comes straight in. The fact that he's going to be...
That was going to be my next question, Stuart. Stop taking my questions off me.
There you go. God.
Stuart, do you think the new signing Antman today, do you think he'll be in the squad tomorrow, or do you think he could possibly start?
I don't see the point in registering him if he's not going to be in the squad. Now, unless you're then just solely looking for next week's game, but I think the right wing area is a problem, and I think it might just be give the stadium, the fans, that wee boost that's needed. If he was to come in, you might know that you're maybe just getting 60, 65 minutes from him, but you know he offers us something different. It's his natural position. He's got a great record. His numbers are phenomenal. So he's in the door now. He's clearly been training. I think he can. I think he goes. Well, if it was me, I would be going for it because I think it's badly needed. We're toothless up front at the moment, so I think we need to do something.
Yeah. And see the fact you get called Disco Stew, which couldn't be any further from the truth.
By the way, I love a dance. By the way, I love a dance.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
By the way, I do. By the way,
what, to Strictly Come Dancing or something like that?
By the way, I think I'd win that. By the way, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting on the call.
Because you, even when you're dancing, you put the wee pinky up as well, don't you?
Oh, yeah. By the way, I've got it down to a T.
Should we be? In fact, what's your thoughts on Antman? Before we move on, is that a signing that excites you?
I think it does because
excuse me.
One of the things I like about some of our signings is there is a variance. Although we're buying wingers, I think they're different. They offer more. He looks like someone who's absolutely going to hug the touchline, and then get to the byline. And when you look, and I tried my best. You fall into the trap of watching a YouTube reel, don't you? And it makes every player look like prime Messi. But it looks as if when you then look at that and look at the numbers that he did last year in the Dutch league, he come away with 15 assists and 6 goals. And when you look at the clips, it looks as if his decision making is spot on. So at the end of the game on Saturday night, Barami gets himself into 2 real good positions. I think the second one, I'm not sure there's much more he could do. I think he does put in a good ball. It's a good bit of defending. I would be hoping that we've got people bursting their necks to get right through the middle of that goal and get on the end of it. But the other one, he's not really done anything. Could he have had a shot? Could he got away? Antman looks as if he's quite good in terms of the decision making. You don't get 15 assists if you're not playing the correct ball into the box at times. So I think he offers us something different. I like the fact he's got a bit of stature to him as well. I think 6'1". So again, there's a bit of a presence about him. So clearly, I thought, it's to offer him a 4-year deal with the option of a 5th, by the way. Not sure when the last time Rangers done something like that. So they clearly think a lot of him, and are kind of really protecting their investment there. So, like I say, I hope we see him tomorrow. And why not just do it from the start?
Yeah, why not? I'm fed up.
You touched on this. Why do they need 2-3 weeks to settle in? I think it's a positive that it was kind of confirmed that he is going to be registered for the squad. So if he is registered and he's available, let's use him.
Listen, I'm not going to go back on my rant I had this afternoon, but it pisses me off so much. Oh no, he needs 2-3 weeks. He needs to learn how to play. He needs to learn the players' names. No, do you know what? See if he's a good enough player, get him in the squad, and see if you're a good enough footballer. It takes you 5 or 10 minutes to learn what the team's doing on the park, and you just bed right in. Right, just before Robyn comes on, there's been a few questions, and Stuart, specifically about Raskin and Rothwell. Are you worried at all that might be a partnership that's not going to work, or is it a case of give them a bit of time?
The correct answer is give them a bit of time. But I'd be lying as saying I've not got slight concerns about how our whole midfield is functioning at the moment. They seem so far apart, and for a manager that wants us to be kind of playing quick football, the gaps between them seem too big for me. The Panathinaikos game at half time, I would have absolutely have swapped Raskin and Dio. I know it's the trendy thing to have, your right footer playing on the left and your left footer playing on the right, but I'm not sure it really suits them. Dio looks a bit lost. Raskin looks a bit lost. I think Rothwell's a really good player. I think he will come good for us. Slightly concerned at just how much he's blown out his arse at the moment, because he was quite an early signing. He's done a whole load of pre-season. Yeah, the manager's made comment that he's not quite fully fit yet. So is there a wee niggle there? I'm not sure, but I think I think they're good enough players to be able to form a relationship and a partnership together. I quite like the idea of Raskin. I think Raskin's got more than, I think he's more than just a breaker upper of the play and then playing a 5-yard pass. I think we saw that towards the end of last season, where he was starting to get goals and he was really influencing the game. So I don't think I want to see that stunted in him. I just don't. Him and many others just seem slightly unsure about what they're being asked to do at the moment, or maybe there's a kind of, they're a bit tentative in terms of what they're doing. But I don't see that changing. I mean, I don't know what you think. Can you see Russell Martin dropping somebody like Rothwell, who he's kind of made a big deal about bringing in?
No. Unless we get to the 10, 12 game mark and he's not performing. If he doesn't drop him, Russell, look, listen, I think what you said earlier is fair. Russell Martin will absolutely do everything that he possibly can to make the team successful. And I don't think he's a manager who, maybe tactically, he won't change. But I'm in total agreement with you. If he needs to drop Tav, he'll drop Tav. If he needs to drop Raskin, he'll drop Raskin. If he needs to drop Rothwell, even though it's a player that he's brought in, Stuart, I think he will absolutely drop him. I don't think he's too precious in that way. But what he does need to work out is how that midfield's going to function, who's playing where, who's doing what role, and he needs to figure out who can do it quickly. Because there's a lot of people, and I'll bring up this comment, Mark Dowie, Dio won't play, not suited to Scottish football. Excuse me. Diamandi's one who does worry me, Stuart, and he has for a long, long time, because when he's on it, and when his confidence is high and when he's playing, what a player that boy is, honestly. Excellent footballer. So good with the ball at his feet, so good at carrying the ball, can take it past players. He just doesn't do it enough.
No, it's the consistency, isn't it, that Dio... And I actually really thought that Dio would be, a shining light in a Russell Martin team, because he is one of the few players that we had last season willing to take a ball under pressure in a tight space and trust his technique, his physicality to be able to get himself out that and release players. And I thought that's absolutely perfect. I don't think we're utilising enough. Again, a bit like where the forwards are, I don't think we've been able to get the ball to Dio enough in kind of dangerous areas for him to really start impacting on games. I think you've seen Old Firm games. I think you've seen Dio play really well. We've certainly seen him take his game to another level in the European arena. The big question mark now is, can he, a game like Saturday, that second half where it's not going well, can Dio take it by the scruff of the neck and drag us over the line? Can he pop up with that really vital second goal? Can he add something like that? And also, I think Ian said earlier, he's either a 4 or an 8. Well, actually, can Dio become where, yes, you still get those 8, 9s, maybe even 10 performances, but at the bare minimum, you're getting the Sasa Patch 7 from him. And that's the challenge that he's got. I hope he does, because I do really like him as a footballer. I think he's a talent.
I really miss the Sasa Patch 7 out of 10.
Yeah, don't we all? Because at least he was a left back.
Yes. We have a question. What time is Robyn coming on? Well, I can confirm, right, that I'm glad to announce and present to you, singer, songwriter, Rangers supporter, and I heard this through the grapevine, I don't know if it's true, but the Rangers Rabble's number one fan, Robyn Keen. Robyn, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, Robyn.
I heard that through the grapevine that
Really?
you were a number one fan, but I don't know if it's true or not. How are you, Robyn?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, well, I was okay until Rangers came back.
Well.
Did you enjoy the game at the weekend?
No, I did not. I'm sure that's what you've been discussing the last half hour.
Yes.
I've been trying to get rid of my dog to try and get rid of her stepping in while I sing, but I put her upstairs, she barks. I bring her down here, she's running around. There she is. Look. No, that way.
It's the happiest dog in the world. Look, she's like that. Where's the food?
She's trying to get in. I mean, she's just been fed. You'd think I didn't feed her. But
dogs are never happy. Dogs are always hungry. Always hungry. Right, Robyn, so what's been happening then since the last time we spoke? I see you've been busy.
God. Yeah, loads has happened actually. What month was it that I was on with you? Was it March or something?
Oh, don't put me on the spot, Robyn. Yeah.
I think it was round about then. It was right before Edmonston House, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that was it. So that was a great gig. And then ever since then, it's just been non-stop with gigs, combination of like supporters club gigs. And then I went to Northern Ireland on a little mini tour. I mean, I say I was on tour. I had 2 gigs. That's a tour for me. But then it was because I was flying straight to Stornoway after that. It was 3 in a row, and I would never normally do that because I'm always worried that my voice is going to not quite be able to handle it. But it was brilliant. Flew into Belfast, then we drove to Londonderry, then we drove from Londonderry all the way down to Kilkeel, which was like a 3-hour drive. And that was the Heartland Festival, it was called. It's an Ulster Scots festival. So it was absolutely brilliant. It was a great experience and just amazing to meet so many fans. Like, I didn't realise how many people were following me over there, but there's loads of them and really nice supporters as well. So it's been great.
Yeah, I mean, I did see on your socials a wee bit that you were over in Northern Ireland. What was that? Yeah. What was that like all in? Because it looked fun. I must admit.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Crowds as well.
Really taken aback by how much the people appreciate music there. Like, every gig is different. You don't know what you're up against. Every audience is different. But there, what I found was, like, they liked to have in Londonderry, they enjoyed a good drink in the gig. But that didn't mean they then shut up. Like, it wasn't like in Glasgow normally where everyone's drunk, they just get louder and louder and louder. But over there, I don't know whether it was just that arts centre or what it was, but there's a real respect for music and musicians. And I got that at Kilkeel as well, because the festival, when I started singing, everyone was really, really quiet. It's just nothing I've ever experienced before at a live show. There's usually you kind of have to put, if there's alcohol involved, you have to put up with people kind of speaking over the top of you. But they were all very quiet, and I think that's why I was so intimidated at the start of the show, because I was like, they were just silent, and I was, oh my God, talk amongst yourselves. But it got better and better. The gig just went on as I settled into it. I enjoyed it more and more, but I was quite nervous to begin with.
Stuart enjoys a good drink at a festival, don't you, Stuart?
It was a few years ago since I've done that, Martin. But yeah, right, good fun. Robyn, lovely to chat to you. I was really keen to kind of understand in terms of how's things changed for you personally, in terms of, I dare say you're probably now recognised wherever you go and kind of stuff. How have you found that kind of experience?
Yeah, it's funny because, well, mainly I get recognised mainly in Rangers at the stadium or in the pubs round about, if you go into the Loudon Tavern or the district bars where I like to drink before or after the game. I'd like to have 1 or 2 in there. And in Northern Ireland, I had people coming up to me in the airport as well, requesting songs. There's a lady actually requested a song. It was quite sad, actually. I did that cover. She came up to me and she just looked very upset, and she just said, will you sing Absent Friends for my son who passed away? And she could barely speak, and then she just walked away. And I said, look, what's your name? Sorry, because I can't remember things. If they'll say it to me and then I'll forget. So I wrote down her name in my notes and wrote down her son's name. And I said, look, watch out for it. I'll sing it next week. So it's quite, I think that people are getting so much out of it in that kind of level. It's really quite touching. It's strange being recognised, because they'll come running up to you and they're like, are you the singer? Are you the singer? And Yeah, I think so. And other times people say, like, they'll just start shaking your hand and they'll, oh, it's great to meet you. And because I don't see people online, obviously everyone's watching me on my TikTok, so they recognise my face if they're seeing it pop up all the time. But obviously I don't see who they are. So then I have to say, oh, sorry, did I speak to you on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram? And they'll just either say you're one of the platforms, and I'll probably recognise their username rather than what they look like. So yeah, it's really nice. And the thing that I've noticed is the younger generation. I've got a lot of young fans, which I never had before. I had a lot of older fans, which was great as well, but I never thought I would have young people following me. And they're brilliant. They just want to be on your TikTok. So they're all like, please follow me, please follow me. So I always like to make time for them as well.
What are you classing as young though, Robyn?
10.
All right. Well, that's fair enough. Because I'm 36 and I still class myself as pretty young. I would put that in the young bracket. How has TikTok been going? Because I remember the first time we spoke, obviously your TikTok was starting to kind of blow up and stuff, and you were talking about the comments that you received, and most of the comments were quite positive and stuff. The more obviously that you're putting yourself out there, you're doing gigs at Edmonston House, you're obviously travelling over, like you said, to Northern Ireland and stuff. How is the TikTok going? And I hope the comments are all still 99% nice.
Yeah. I mean, they're always going to be there. The Celtic fans are always going to comment. If you're going to put yourself out there singing Rangers songs, you have to be prepared for that. And I honestly find them quite funny. Like, I quite enjoy looking at them because some of it is hilarious. I mean, if there's anything that's really out of order, I will just delete it. But it has to be quite bad for me to do that. I just leave them on because it's entertaining. And you know, it's them they can argue. I quite enjoy looking at them arguing with the other Rangers fans. But if it gets out of hand, I just delete it. There's nothing yet that's really offended me. So I seem to be doing quite well.
Robyn, how was the experience of playing Edmonston House? You know, clearly you're used to going to Ibrox on a match day, and I remember I was in Edmonston House that day. You were on stage. What was that day like, and the experience? The club, I hope, treated you well, and you certainly got a great reception from everybody in Edmonston House that day. From what I remember.
Yeah. I didn't realise you were there, actually. Yeah, that was my first gig in a long, long time. So I felt probably I could have been... I mean, you can't really rehearse for a live show until you get on the stage and just do it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And Rangers backstage, just the wee bit backstage where you go on beforehand, they all look after you, make sure you're comfortable. And you get a sound check, obviously, before. And the guy that works on the sound is really good. And I always base my nerves on how well the sound check's gone, because if I get on there before everyone's come in, and it's really important that you've got monitors on the stage that feed back to you, because out the front, obviously, as you know, it's really, really loud. So if I didn't have monitors on the stage, I couldn't hear anything. I wouldn't be able to hear anything. So it's really important that that's all working. And as soon as I've had my sound check and I'm happy with it, I can go back and relax. But until that point, I've got no idea what I'm going into. But that's the same with any gig. So yeah, it was brilliant, and the fans all seemed to love it, and just everyone singing back to the songs. I mean, obviously they all know the songs anyway, but you can feel the energy in the room. I thought that night there was a real good energy. I think it was a European match as well, so everyone was on a bit of a high, and then we won, which helped as well.
We normally do win in Europe.
We do, yeah.
I remember thinking at the time, Robyn, is your band, are they all Rangers fans?
No. The guy that plays piano is a Partick Thistle fan.
Right, okay.
Ian, that played the drums, he's not into football at all. So I just get musicians that are good, that I gel with. So Ross and I have really just kind of hit it off with the music. I feel so comfortable playing with him. He just seems to get me, and I get him. There's some people you work with, and there's just friction instantly, and you're like, you try and explain something to them, and it doesn't work, and you're sitting there across the table this is just not going anywhere. Whereas Ross just understands everything that I'm doing. I don't even know what chords I'm playing, and I just say to him, right, 4th fret, that, and he'll go D sharp minor, and I'm like, right, fine. He's studied like music at a classical level, like he's done, like, I think it was the RSAMD he was in, so he's professionally trained, and that's what I like, working with people like that, because I'm not trained at all, so he can tell me what I'm doing.
I know I've asked you this before, but I will ask it again for people who may be tuning in who didn't see our first interview. What's your process to writing a song? Because obviously you write songs that aren't maybe necessarily anything to do with Rangers, but you also write Rangers songs as well. Is the process different for that, or is it pretty much the same?
Oh, no, totally different. So if I'm writing a song, usually I'm just sitting with the guitar and I'm strumming away, and I'll find the sound first. Like, I'll do the chords and then the tune, and I really struggle with lyrics because I just find they always sound a bit cheesy. I'm not really good at it, but sometimes they'll just come naturally. And then I find I could write a song right now, like, and just write a new song, and that would be it. I don't find it difficult at all. It's the lyrics that I struggle with. But when it comes to Rangers songs, like if someone requests a song that I've never heard of before, what I'll do is I'll just go onto YouTube and find the original tune, or I'll go onto Spotify and get as an original song as possible. I type into Google what the name of the song is and just put the chords, pick out the chords, and then I have to transpose it into my key as well. So quite often, like, I'll start playing it, it's either too low or too high. So I just kind of shift everything up 2 or 3, and then I sing it and just work out all the chords. Like I did that today with one that I wrote. I just sit at the piano, and as long as I know the first note, I can work out the rest of the thing by ear. So that's a real, like, I feel lucky to be able to do that, because not everyone's able to do that. It just makes life a lot easier when I can play by ear. It means I could probably churn out a new song every day if I had to. And I think because I'm doing that now with requests, I'm probably getting a bit better at it and faster at it.
Yeah, that blows my mind.
Really?
Anybody being able to write a song blows my mind. You know that way, sometimes you're listening to a song on the radio and you go, right, okay, so it's got an opening, and then it's got a verse, and then it's got a chorus, and then a verse and a chorus. That's dead easy.
Yeah.
And then you think, and you try, and you sit down and you go, I'll write a wee song. No, I don't even get a word.
That's all it is, really. It tends to just be a verse, a chorus, a verse, a chorus, a bridge, and a chorus. But some songs are just the same the whole way through. It depends what the structure is. But most songs that you like, that people like, that are popular, are the most simple ones, and they're written like that for a purpose.
Somebody's put in the comments, yeah, pretty much like you can't shove your granny off a bus. That would probably be an easy song to write. Yeah. You have wrote a new song though, Robyn, and you're going to kind of perform a wee bit of it mixed in with another song tonight. What's it called? And what's that about?
I keep forgetting the name of it because I just wrote it. I mean, I didn't write the melody. It's the melody is to Loch Lomond. I just wrote the lyrics.
I'll be in Ibrox before you.
Yes, it's called I'll Be in Ibrox Before You. It was actually, I have to give credit to my brother, who I think is watching this just now, down in England somewhere. He came up with the idea to do this a good few months ago. He said, I think you should sing a song along to Loch Lomond. I don't know, it was just after the whole Ibroxonia thing. Like, you need, for fan chants, you need a tune that people recognise, that they can quickly grasp and sing along to. I mean, I've got plans to write quite a few more of my own original songs, but this was just a quick one to churn out. I did just write this in a day, so the lyrics just came to me, and it's sounding okay. So it's on TikTok now. It's kind of trending over there right now.
I don't know what that means, because I don't actually.
Is that the right word? Trending? I don't know.
I don't know. The Rabble's never trended. Just before I ask you about what's coming up and stuff for you, Robyn, if people, obviously they can find you on TikTok and stuff, but if people want to kind of support you by, maybe buying your albums or looking more into, where can they find your stuff?
So on my social media, on Instagram and Facebook, when in the link, there's a link tree thing. I don't know if people know what that is, but it's basically just a kind of website type thing that most people have on there. So in the link, you can click there and you'll find the album. But if anyone was just to DM me or send me a message on Facebook or Instagram, if they just say they want the link, I'll just send them it direct. Because on TikTok and things, you can't put links in the comments, which is quite annoying. So when people ask you, you can't just send a link. So yeah, it's in the profile section of all my socials.
And what's coming up next for you then? What's on the horizon?
This is a busy month, actually. In terms of gigs, the first one I've got is Edmonston House again for the ladies' lunch. That's a Rangers do. That's meant to be quite a wild event. I've heard things about it, so I'm looking forward to that one. And then after that, I am singing at the Copeland Collective and the Union Bears event that's on the 30th of August. That's back in Edmonston House as well. And that's all profits are going to the fan chant stuff, all the fan stuff that they make, which is obviously really important for the stadium and something I'm definitely want to get behind. So I'm very, very excited for that gig. I don't know what to expect, but all I'm thinking of is I need to make my songs as upbeat as possible so that they can all sing along.
Remember I told you, if you want a guitar player who can play 3 chords, and I'm available. I'm absolutely available.
I'm looking for a drummer, actually.
Oh, a drummer? I don't know any drummers.
I just need someone to play.
I know a drummer. I do know a drummer. I do, yes.
I just need someone to play kick and snare. It's not anything. See these tunes, they just need a beat going along to them. All the Rangers songs, that's all they need.
Well, he'd be more than capable of doing that, yes.
Well, there you go. I'll pass on the details.
Right.
So that's us. Thank you very much, Rob. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
What are you going to be performing for us tonight?
I'm going to sing Londonderry in the Foil just because that one is the latest one that I recorded, and it's been the most popular one in the last few months. Everyone seems to love that one, and I fell in love with it as well. And I think what I love about that song is it'd been requested for about a year on my page, and I just wouldn't look at it. I don't know why. I thought there was maybe something in it that I couldn't sing, so I always just ignore ones like that. And then I heard the Union Bears singing at Ibrox, and I just kept tuning into it, and I was thinking that is a brilliant song. And then I went home and I looked at the lyrics, and there's nothing in it that's offensive at all. And if people want to be offended by the word Londonderry, that's up to them. But for me, it's much more of a folk song. So I just fell in love with it. So I added that to my album. So I'm going to sing that one, and then I'll sing the one that I've just written as well, I'll Be in Ibrox Before You, which is just a fan chant for Rangers fans if they want to bring it in at some point to the stadium. I think it could maybe get picked up and sang, because it's good to get new tunes, isn't it, into the stadium? Yeah, 100%.
And we've got a quick comment for Ross Clark, and the reason I bring this up, I'd like Robyn to do a rendition of A Father's Advice. Head over to Robyn's TikTok. Follow her over there. And I believe people put stuff in the comments all the time, Robyn. They ask you to maybe do songs for them.
Yeah, I get loads of requests. That's the best way to do it, is request it on TikTok, because then if I can do it, or if it's not been done already, I can reply with a video direct. That's why it's really good to put it in the comments. But that one's popped up loads, Father's Advice. So I will have a look at that one and see if I can do it. I obviously have to be careful what I share online, just for obvious reasons. But I'll have a look at that one. So thank you.
There we go. So just before Robyn performs, just a massive thank you to everybody who's tuned in to the show tonight. Thank you very much, Stuart. Please make sure that you like, share and subscribe. Once the show is finished, I will pop all of Robyn's details into the description of the video for you to go and check out all of her socials. Thank you very much, Robyn, for joining us tonight and for performing. And I will leave you all in the capable hands of Robyn Keen.
Thank you. Tonight I dream about my maiden city. I'll go back to the days I spent there as a boy. I'll dream about the friends I left behind me in my city, Londonderry on the floor. Well, my mother writes to me here twice weekly, and she tells all the things are going on. And she tells me of the bombings and the shootings in my city, Londonderry, on the farm. But tonight I lie upon my bed, I'm dreaming. I am dreaming of the friends I left behind. And I dreamt about my sweetheart in the fountain in my city, Londonderry, on the farm. But once more I'm coming home aboard a steamship. On Loch Foyle once more I'm passing by Kilmore. And I see those old grey walls still firmly standing there round my city, Londonderry, on the farm. I can see the old cathedral, it's still standing. And not far away the old memorial hall. And I see the crimson banner still proudly floating over my city, Londonderry, on the farm. Over my city, Londonderry, on the farm. Move on to the next. I hope that sounded okay. I'll not know until I watch it back. Right, the next one is, this is the one that I've just added lyrics to Loch Lomond, which I thought might be quite a good fan chant. We'll see. You take the Copeland and now take the broom, and I'll be in night rocks for you, 'cause we love the Rangers and we will meet again on the seats that stands at Ibrox Stadium. Along Paisley Road, west the faithful will follow, with scarves held high in their glory. Through thunder and rain, we will follow on again. Glasgow Rangers will tell our story. I know that's very short. I've only got 2 verses written, so I will add more to that one if people like it. Thank you very much.